I met the rudest, meanest doll artist at a doll show recently, and I want to tell you all the story. Hi everyone, I'm Tori, an adult doll collector, and I create videos for other doll collectors and doll enthusiasts to enjoy. If you're new to my channel, welcome, and if you're not new, welcome back. Today I'm going to be changing one of my Reborn art dolls into a spring outfit while I tell you this story. This is little Vivian, that's the name I gave this baby, but she is the Freddy Sculpt by Sandy Faber, and she was painted by Jane Kotzemeyer. She was actually a recent doll show adoption. Not this most recent doll show I just went to, but the one before. It was last year. When I saw this sweet little face, I just had to bring this baby home with me. I'm going to be changing her into this spring gymboree outfit. It has strawberries all over it. I found this at Once Upon a Child. I miss the old gymboree lines so much. I collect the old gymboree, but it's so hard to find old gymboree for good prices online, I have to say. I've looked on eBay. People want to sell some of the older gymboree blankets for like $150, which is insane. I could never spend that much on a blanket. So when I find old gymboree at like my local consignment stores and Once Upon a Child or the thrift store, I am so happy. And Vivian is going to look so cute in this. Now, I don't have a headband planned for this outfit, but I figured this is plenty girly enough. She doesn't need a headband. All right, now let's get to changing her, and I'll tell you all the story. First, I have to give you a little bit of like a backstory or a few details that are important to the story, I guess. First of all, I am legally blind, so I have a severe visual impairment. This visual impairment, just part of it for me, is that it's hard for me to recognize people by looking at their faces. Sometimes it takes me a while to recognize somebody. Usually I have to hear their voice. Sometimes if I haven't heard their voice enough, I won't recognize them. Or again, if I can't see their face, I am very nearsighted and my visual acuity is very poor. So that's important to the story. Keep that in mind. Also, I did encounter this doll artist at another doll show last year, a different doll show though. That's important to note as well. And it was not the best interaction, but I'll explain that in just a moment. Now, when I first get to a doll show, usually what I like to do is walk around, enjoy myself, look at all the dolls, pick up any doll purchases that I want. I talk to people, I make new friends, I meet up with old friends if there's people there that I already know. I just have such a good time when I get to a doll show. I also have to preface this story by saying that most people at these doll shows are absolutely amazing, super sweet, super kind. And I also love sharing people's information if there are some of the vendors who maybe sell online, so that all of you here can not only enjoy the doll show experience on video, but also you can go and buy from those vendors if you're interested in what they have on their table. So I got to the show. I walked around with my grandma and my daughter. We talked, we made friends, I bought a doll. Actually, I will make sure I link that video on this one if you missed that doll show video. Then, once I met everybody and looked around, I started walking around and filming the show for all of you here and to share vendors' information if they wanted me to and all that stuff. Another important thing to note is that my state that I live in, if I go to a public event in a public place, like this doll show was in, I can legally film as much as I want, whoever I want. Legally, that's the law. And even though that's the law, I try my very best to respect each vendor or artist or doll collector and ask them if they're comfortable being on camera or if it's okay to film their booth. Do they want me to share their card information for my viewers so that all of you can go shop with them? Anything like that. I try to be extremely respectful and friendly to everybody. Now, this doll artist, she had a booth at a doll show last year, different doll show. When I walked by her table filming, she snapped at me, "No pictures, please. These are original pieces of artwork," and just, really snapped at me. And I was like, oh, okay. And I immediately shut off my camera and walked away from her table. And that was the end of that interaction. Now, remember, I can't see very well, so I can't recognize people most of the time. And I walked up to this same doll artist's table at a different doll show this year. I saw on her table that her sign said something originals. There was something originals in her name. And I remembered to myself, I remember that at a different doll show last year, there was an artist who, there was something originals in her name. Couldn't remember the full name, but I remembered originals. And I thought to myself, I knew that particular artist did not want her work to be filmed. So I thought I should definitely ask this lady before I film her table, just in case it's the same lady. So I didn't even pick up my camera, hold it up, anything. I said to the lady, "Hello, do you mind if I film your table?" And she just about bit my head off, you guys. She was like, "Actually, yes, I do mind." I was like, "Oh, okay." And I said, "Well, I just wanted to respect you as an artist, and that's why I asked if it was okay, trying to tell her no hard feelings, no big deal, okay. No need to yell at me and basically spit in my face, because she was basically spitting in my face from the first word that came out of her mouth. And I'm serious, that's how aggressive she was. So I was like, "Oh, I respect that. No big deal. Not a problem." And then she was like, "I'm the only doll artist here. Everybody else is just a doll collector. So nobody else gets it." I'm like, "Oh, okay then." Which, mind you, she wasn't the only doll artist there at all. Most of the other vendors were doll collectors who were selling pieces of their collection, selling and trading, but she's definitely not the only doll artist there. A lot of doll artists there didn't have a table set up specifically only to sell their work, but I met other doll artists there at the show, spoke to them, and had a great time. So that was really ridiculous. She acted like she knew better than anybody else, that she was better than anybody else at this show because she's an artist and they're just collectors. That's the way she said it, okay? I just looked at her like, what? Then she went on to say, my work is going to be collectible in 50 years. I just looked at her like, okay. Then I did something I should not have done. Definitely made a mistake in trying to reach out in kindness to her in this way. I thought to myself, maybe she's scared that people are going to steal her work. Why else would you not want somebody to show your work online unless you're scared of people stealing the designs, stealing the ideas? I get it. As an artist, I would not want my work to be stolen, my ideas. This lady, by the way, her originals is in her name, and she really thinks that she's doing something very new in the doll world, that this is all her original design. I can promise you guys that I have seen so many doll artists doing so many similar, if not almost exact things in the doll community and online as what she is showing at her table. So I was just like, oh, okay, okay. But I actually know of a doll shop. One of my friends owns a doll shop, and she had somebody else come in, take a bunch of pictures of what she was doing in her doll shop, and then take it to their own store and replicate it. So I know that this type of thing does happen. I have also been in the doll collecting world and the doll community for over a decade, so I've seen a lot that goes on, and I'm not just, I'm not new to the doll collecting world. So I said to her, hey, can I, maybe give you a suggestion of something that might help you to protect your work? And she was like, what? I said, you should maybe make your own social media accounts so then your work can be traced back to you. Because what happens is, if somebody were to actually want to take your ideas, then it wouldn't be traceable back to you. You guys, she snapped at me. How do you know I'm not already doing that? And she just got closer and closer to my face and was, like I said, basically spitting in my face. I could not believe it. Usually I'm a person that if somebody is being really mean to me or rude to me, I just walk away. But I wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt. I wanted to, communicate with her, no ill will, if this is what you're scared of, maybe, this is a suggestion that would maybe help you. That was the wrong approach to take. I should have just walked away. I should have known better, and I should have just walked away. And after she was like, basically, I'm better than everybody else here. I should have just walked away. But I made the mistake of trying to extend a suggestion and kindness and make her feel more comfortable by letting her know that I understood, that she might be scared of her work being stolen. You know what I mean? Yeah, that was a mistake. My grandma was also there with me, so she saw this entire exchange, and she was like, what is going on here? She couldn't believe how that lady was speaking to me. After that, I left the table, I walked away, but I will say that her rudeness really shook me up. I can be a pretty sensitive person. I have been severely bullied before, mostly for my disability, and so it was kind of, the way she was talking to me was really kind of triggering, but I'm actually kind of proud of myself for trying to give her the benefit of the doubt, because I was trying to lead with kindness and be kind even when she wasn't kind to me, and that's difficult to do. That's one of the most difficult things to do. So I'm actually kind of proud of myself for that, and the fact that I didn't just immediately run from her table the second she was being rude to me. I'm actually proud of that. But for the rest of this show, I felt really shaken up. I didn't get as much footage of the show as I wanted to, because I was shaking and just so anxious. I never run into anybody that rude at these shows. Clearly, she thought she was better than all the other doll collectors and artists there at the show. And this show was about, I would say, 3 times bigger than this show was last year. So this show is growing very rapidly, and I don't know if it's going to be bigger next year or if it's going to be about this same size. I have to say, though, everybody else at this show was amazing. Everybody was so kind, so sweet. I tried to share a bunch of information for vendors that had online shops and stuff like that, but I definitely didn't film everybody's booths like I normally would, because I was so shaken up after that interaction. I don't understand how an artist wants to make sales but is yet so incredibly rude to a potential customer. My other question is, if somebody buys a piece of her artwork, so like, does she make a rule such as you can't post pictures of my dolls online? You can't possibly police the people who are buying your work. I have so many questions about how that works. You don't want your work online. Oh, I think I forgot to mention, she does not have any social medias. She doesn't. Now, she was like, how do you know I'm not already doing that on her card? And this year she didn't have any social medias on her card. As a matter of fact, she just has her own personal number and her personal full name on her cards with the name of her little doll business that she has going. So she doesn't have any social medias out there. I have looked because I was curious. I will not be saying this artist's name because I'm not going to send anybody her way. I don't want to send her any business because of her rudeness. I would not want somebody going to buy one of her dolls from her and her being so incredibly rude to them. So I will not be saying her business name here. By the way, this is a different type of doll artist. So this isn't Reborn doll artist. This is just somebody who's making one-of-a-kind little dolls and doing little sewing projects for them. So different type of doll. But yeah, so I couldn't believe that she was basically spitting in my face. Growing up, when I was bullied a lot for my disability, people used to say to me, oh, it's just kids. You know, kids are really mean. And, you know, when you grow up, adults aren't like that. Adults aren't mean. Let me tell you guys something. Adults can be way more mean than kids can ever be. Another thing I was thinking, maybe she thought that I was very young and like, oh, because she was an older lady. I almost wonder if she was like, you don't know anything. That was like her attitude towards me. It seemed like it could have been. Now, I'm almost 30, but I look very young. So she was probably like, oh, you don't know anything. Anyway, I gotta get going, but I hope you all enjoyed this story time. And remember, this is something that's very, very rare at doll shows. I've never had this happen before until this really rude lady. Most of the people at doll shows are absolutely amazing. I make so many friends, have such a good time every time I go. But I have to say that after such a horrible encounter, I'm actually kind of nervous to film the doll shows now. You know, it made me really, really nervous. It really shook me up that somebody was so mean to me when I was trying to reach out with kindness. So anyway, I'm going to stop rambling. I'm going to go now. But I hope you all enjoyed the video. Here's sweet Vivian in her Gymboree outfit for spring. And thanks for watching, everyone.